Okay. So, now you kind of segueing into it, you know, especially seeing clients, right, that you've had and kind of dealt with. How do you see that your mental health affects you when it comes to your career development?
Yeah. So okay, so let's start with this. So when you think about occupation and your work, um a lot of your career decision making, a lot of what you understand about vocation and career does come just from my lens in terms of how because I'm also a psychodynamic and we can psychoanalytic therapist, but that pretty much means that a lot of your experiences from childhood
Mm.
impacts the way that it informs how you make decisions in your career. It informs how you deal with stress on the job. It informs the type of environments that you enter into. It shapes your perception, your thoughts, your beliefs about the types of work environments that you you are more attracted to. So depending on how you were brought up, or where you think about your mother, you think about your father in terms of their relationship with work in the workplace, and their sense of their philosophy around education and its intersection with work. I think that is really important information to understand and know, to also better understand why you are experiencing what you're experiencing in the workplace today. So that parent-child relationship,
Mm.
as it pertains to work in the workplace.
That makes sense, right? Because it's funny. I I had a client and well have, and I'm talking to him about I think you may need to, seek out therapy because we're
Mm-hmm.
having a conversation and he's telling me how he lacks confidence. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking him the why, well, where does that stem from? Why? And so
Mm-hmm.
then he starts talking about his childhood and
Mm-hmm.
how he felt, less than because of how he grew up and what he was told. And, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, that's trauma. That's internal trauma that you're going through. And you may need to kind of work those things out as well to kind of help you have that understanding and then help you kind of move forward, because now you can come back to me and I can coach you and train you up, and give you
Right.
some tools and techniques. But you need to really dig deep and uncover that trauma that you have. I think you'll probably second this. A lot of people have issues in the workplace because they have traumas that they don't even recognize, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that they really really need to kind of work on. Can Do you have any examples, or can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I kind of talk about this in a way that is very informed. So
Okay.
basically, for the listeners, workplace trauma, if you're experiencing workplace trauma, it really means that if you're an employee and you're experiencing, um, it could be a one-time traumatic event, it could be a workplace accident, it could be ongoing stressful events, like unrealistic expectations around work, or having an abusive boss, or dealing with microaggressions, bullying, harassment, um, those type of issues in the workplace. So if you're experiencing that, um, I think some of the ongoing mental health issues, if you have experienced trauma in the workplace, may be this sense of like increased anxiety, increased depression, panic attacks, having challenges with regulating or controlling your emotions. Um, you can also have some physical health issues, such as like exhaustion, you could be hyper vigilant or hyper aroused, like, or startled. You can have sleep issues. You can have difficulty with relaxing, staying calm. It can also be a decrease on your energy levels. it actually can cause some physical pain. Also, some other examples might be like if you've experienced trauma in the workplace, you might have some flashbacks. An employee might feel like you're reliving or reenacting some of the traumas that you incurred between your relationship with your parents, or
Mm.
something may have happened to you in your childhood. The nervous system is acting like it's still happening,
Mm.
even if the trauma has already passed, like it's in the past. And so that can be really stressful and scary and draining to someone that's experiencing that. It can also be like examples if absenteeism, increase, like people taking time off work, which causes issues with attendance at work. For example, if you're an employee in the workplace and you're experiencing mental health and physical symptoms, you probably need to stay at home to take care of your health, because you're finding yourself being triggered at work. Um, Maybe you had an interaction with a coworker or a boss or a manager. You get triggered by that, and then that leads to like you taking off work because you need to get some time or take some time for yourself, because you're experiencing the stress at work. Yeah, it can also affect your um, confidence levels, because even if you may have said something, or maybe let's say you received the PIP, or something like a performance, and or you're constantly getting criticized or judged based on your work performance. That might be mimicking some of the criticisms and judgments that you received from maybe your father, who may have came at you about your academics or like your homework, and you're not trying hard enough. You need to make straight A's, or you need to you're always kind of being like walking on eggshells, like, and that's the same experience you had when you were a child growing up, just in terms of like academics or how you performed in school and stuff like that. And so that could be coming up again in the workplace where your boss is doing the same thing to you,
Mm.
and so yeah, so that might lead to like decreased levels of confidence. That might lead to like this sense of imposter syndrome. It's a term that's being thrown out there now, just like feeling inadequate, feeling not good enough, because it's reminding you of things from your past. Burnout is uh, another issue, in terms of just people who are feeling the vicarious trauma of the working conditions, or they're feeling trauma related to the industries that they're in. They might be in a high demand, high stressful, very competitive industry, and they're experiencing burnout because they're constantly overworking and they're exhausted and tired. They're constantly thinking about work. That's what increases burnout. And even just with just a sense of pressure that's being applied, in terms of increasing your work performance, increasing your productivity, that leads to burnout. So those are some just examples. I mean, you can go into like substance use, people who are engaging in substances, drugs, and alcohol, and sometimes with, you know, dealing with the traumas that they're experiencing in the workplace, they use substances to kind of numb out the pain or numb out the issues that are going on in their work environment. But yeah, those are some examples.